Okay guys, so in this video I'm just gonna show you a small little tip that can be useful if you are writing async await functions in Node. Let's get into it. So now, since the ES6 standard or ECMAScript 2015, whatever you want to call it, came about, async await, and like this amazing standard that has gotten people so excited, it has kind of become, well, I'm not saying standard, but it's fairly popular. So one thing that I've been seeing people do, which I think is, and I do it too. I mean, I make async request handlers here in my Express application. Now, the great part about it is that I can now, without having to chain a bunch of promises in my program, I can actually just kind of use the await keyword, and I can resolve my promise, and then I can return it and all that good stuff. So I can write code as if it was synchronous, which is pretty great. The problem comes when I don't have, like, because one thing that people don't really know is that the problem when you do that is that since you haven't declared a catch, because in like in JavaScript land, usually what you when you're not writing async await, you need to have a catch handler in order to handle any possible errors that might occur from your operation. Now, if I do this thing here, let's just look at what happens. So if I start my server here, node server, yes. So here's my server running, and I go and I curl that endpoint. You can see what happens. So it says unhandled promise rejection warning, error foo error. And that's exactly what's like, that's the core issue here. So now I throw this error, right? And because I don't have a catch clause chained onto my async operation because of the async await pattern, right? It just like can't handle it right. It's not, I haven't declared a way to handle it. Now the way that people like to do this is to use something like this. They create a try catch around the whole block like this. And that's perfectly fine. Now if I do something like this, and I go and I do this, and I do safe, like that, I get a foo error, which is exactly what I want. I mean, I'm handling now. So the way like the tip I want to give you is that this, to me, it gets to be a little bit tedious and a little bit ugly to like just repeat this process over and over. So what I like to do is to do something like this. I create this little function, a higher order function, that takes in another function and returns a request handler. So all it does is that it takes in the request, the response, and the next, just as we saw up here. That's all. And then it does a promise resolve. And that's it. It just wraps my little function here in, and I pass down. I could do this as well, of course, but basically all I do is that I pass down this the input to my function down to this function that I'm getting here, and then I create the catch here with the next, and that's basically it. So what this now does is that when I can do this instead. I can simply wrap my entire route in this request handler, and now I have my catch clause. So now if I do this, if I do wrap like that, I get the same results, but without the need of the try catch. Now, in this trivial little example, it's not much of a difference because like it's just a one try catch. But imagine if you had several conditions, and you can very quickly get to a point where you might have a few try catches, or you may have a lot of different blocks of code that need different try catches. And this is just a really nice little way that I kind of like to wrap all of it, and then I don't have to think about it anymore in my handler, right? And then finally, of course, I have my little error handler here at the bottom that sends back this nice request message, this message we saw earlier. Now, one more thing that I think is important, and that's the thing that we're going to do if I do, let's see here, prod like that. So in the production environment, I think that you should start doing this, which is to create a process event listener for the unhandled rejection. Now the reason for this is because if you have a situation where your system throws an unhandled rejection, it's very important for you to actually capture that, and usually you want to get notified about it. So by just adding this line here, and now just to pretend that you have some type of error tracking logging or whatever, you might use Sentry or something else. you just know, now you know if you had an unhandled promise rejection, basically. Now you still threw the error, but at least you know about it, instead of having basically the server just silently swallowing that unhandled rejections, that rejection, right? So those are my tips. Consider using a process event listener like this, so you can log, or you can notify your error tracking system that there was an unhandled rejection. And just, yeah, if you're using async event, this is a nice little touch to keeping your controller or your method, your request callback nice and clean. Have a great day.